CVDPN is a nonprofit organization 501c3 staffed entirely by volunteers. We are dedicated to educating and training residents of the Coachella Valley in how to be prepared for any disaster. FEMA used to recommend 1 gallon per person per day, plus more for pets and sanitary use. They have increased that now to 2 gallons per person per day for at least 2 weeks. In most experts' opinion, 30 days would be better. That's how much to store. What you need to know now is how to store it safely.
Quickly as I can, let me explain how long you can safely store water. We're going to talk about the methods to ensure that you can safely store it for a long time. I think that's the real takeaway here. Water doesn't really have an expiration date. It's really easier to rephrase the question to explore why water goes bad and what you can do about it. Now, your stored water can go bad for 3 primary reasons. First is the growth of microorganisms that can render the water undrinkable or even toxic. So to prevent this, we can take several precautions when we store the water. One is to keep it in a sealed container, not exposed to direct sunlight or air. Now, plus, when you aerate the water before you use it by pouring it between containers after you take it out of the water storage container, you want to let it stand for about 30 minutes, and these chemicals will typically vent off. And let's talk about the second reason that stored water can go bad. It's due to chemical contamination from using a container that previously stored non-water substances, or from using a container made for storing non-drinking water, consuming it. So, using any non-approved water storage container can result in harmful chemicals embedded in the plastic leaching into your water. So, to avoid this, you want to use a container labeled as food grade or specifically made for storing water and for drinking. Technically, if you're prepared to treat or filter the water once you remove it from the container, the answer is pretty much indefinitely.
There are a number of different ways to store water, so let's review a few. There's blue can water. 50-year shelf life, safe to 130 degrees, and therefore safe to put in your car. Packages of water are another option. They're relatively inexpensive, approved by the Coast Guard, have a long shelf life, and are very portable. Cartons of bottled water are good. However, they have a limited shelf life and do not store well in extreme conditions or on concrete. Food-grade 50-gallon barrels can be kept safe for up to 5 years, depending on 1. The sanitation of the barrel, and the addition of some sort of water treatment, unless you want to change it out every year. If you have a water heater in your garage, then you have a great deal of water stored there, over 50 gallons usually. Just be certain to turn off the intake valve in the event of emergencies if you want to use that water. Water storage bricks, 5 gallons each. They can be stacked and kept in a fairly small footprint in your garage. Whatever you use, be certain that it is food grade, is not transparent, but can reflect sunlight, because if exposed to sunlight, water will grow algae, unless it's been properly treated.
Now, in the past, I recommended water preservatives on videos that I've done when I've talked about water storage, and you can buy these on Amazon or any other website, but they're nothing more than really overpriced bleach. So stick with the recommended amounts of chlorine or bleach instead if you're going to add preservatives or, these chemicals to your water to make sure that they preserve and that microorganisms, again, can be kept at bay.
We should first talk about the difference between water filtration and purification. The difference is the following. A water filter is designed to remove waterborne protozoa and bacteria, but not viruses. Now, water purification, on the other hand, and some more advanced methods that we're going to talk about, can actually remove all of those things and even chemicals which could be toxic to your system. Now, the first method is boiling. Now, as a general rule of thumb, 5 to 10 minutes of boiling is going to kill most microorganisms. If you want to err on the side of caution, go for 10 minutes. Now, the problem with this tried and true and historically popular approach is that the fuel to boil that water may well be in short supply, so you're likely going to have to improvise. There's a couple ways that you can bring water to a boil using solar energy from the sun. So long as you have the sun, you potentially have an infinite source of energy to boil water at your disposal. You can use parabolic mirrors or solar cookers to concentrate the sun's energy into a focal point that's going to generate enough heat to either cook, boil water, or even light things on fire. The next method, and probably the easiest if you have a lot of sunlight at your disposal, is going to be solar disinfection. Now, solar disinfection combines thermal and ultraviolet radiation, and it has been shown to be effective in eliminating various micropathogens and reduce morbidity associated with drinking bad water. Now, what this essentially amounts to is either using a clear, transparent bottle or a bag, putting your water in that bag and exposing it to sunlight for 6 to 12 hours. The longer, the better. That ultraviolet light is going to kill all the bacteria and viruses within that water. Now, it's not going to get rid of the bad taste, and it's not going to get rid of the chemicals, but it's going to get rid of the stuff that's going to make you sick. And the next method of water purification is chemical treatment, okay? Using things like bleach, calcium hypochlorite, or even iodine in order to kill all the bad stuff in the water. For iodine, you add 5 drops of 2% tincture of iodine to each quart or liter of water. If that water is cloudy or colored, then you got to add 10 drops of iodine. You let that sit for 30 minutes and that water is essentially good to go. May have a little bit of a nasty aftertaste, but it's better than dying. Now, you can also use bleach, but just remember that bleach loses its effectiveness after 6 months. There is a limited shelf life for bleach. Typically, if you have bleach, you can use this chart here to determine how much bleach you need in order to purify liters or gallons of water. One of the choice chemicals amongst preppers is going to be pool shock. Pool shock is something that you use in order to make bleach. And the best thing about pool shock is that it doesn't have the limited lifespan that bleach has. Pool shock will last decades if properly stored. Disinfect up to 10,000 gallons of drinking water. That's enough water to basically provide one person with 5 to 10 years worth of drinking water, depending on how well they ration it. Now, you want to get the pool shock that's minimum 65% calcium hypochlorite. Now, this is pretty much guaranteed 99% of the time to kill bacteria and viruses. However, there are several types of protozoa that are going to be potentially resistant to this type of chemical disinfection. And if you are using chlorine to purify your drinking water too frequently, it can become toxic in your system if you're not careful in how you do it.
If you can't store water, or if you run out of your stored water, you're going to have some way to purify what water you can find. More difficult, but additional methods include constructing a solar still. It's a complicated process, and you will probably have to do some research online to find out how to create one. The same with creating your own water filter. If you need to do it by hand, though there are products available on the market, which you'll see shortly, that will purify it for you, if you have the money to buy them. Another alternative is to distill water. Distilled water lasts a very long time if stored properly, but creating distilled water is a time-consuming process. The opinions on drinking pool water range from, sure, it's no problem, to don't do it or you'll die. Many sources say that if you just boil it, you will get rid of the excess chlorine. That doesn't do anything about the microorganisms that might be in there. And the people argue that when it's exposed to sunlight, those microorganisms die. You really want to take a chance. Some add to the fact that if it is from a pool that is being well kept and maintained, meaning maintaining perfect levels of pH and chlorine, etc., that it is safe as tap water. Well, tap water is not always the safest option, depending on where you live. Portable water filters come in a variety of uses, types, and efficiency. Life straw is a favorite of many hikers. The Seychelles or any other filtered water bottle will do the job, but it's for small quantities.
You can't just drink this straight. Yes, you can drink some chlorinated water. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to get a belly full of chlorinated water every couple hours, because you will get sick and you will die from over drinking pool water. This thing here will clean out bacteria, viral, chemicals, heavy metals. Yeah, the big difference between all these other filters is the ceramic filters. This is a silver impregnated ceramic filter, and this right here will clean out any of these chemicals in the swimming pool.
There are a number of water purification products on the market. This is just one of them. Disaster prep is very popular, and as a result, you can find hundreds of products on the market with a simple search engine, and that includes water filters. So, I guess the final answer and decision is up to you. But make a decision and start saving water. One way or another, you're going to need it.